404161-1002. We're in Carter County, and I suspect we're in the city limits here of Ardmore, Oklahoma. We're right at the boundary of the environmental zones, and this one is going to be noted as in the dry, no-freeze environment. This was selected for cell 1-153, which was empty at the time. As I mentioned just before, dry, no freeze, fine subgrade, low traffic. We assume a low stiffness here in Oklahoma for asphalt concrete, a high AC thickness of 10 inches in this case, and a low base thickness in this case of 0 inches. Or the coring operation, I should say, has already commenced. I'm going to pull up and just show a panoramic view. Looking out over across, you see we've got one lane in each direction. We have 8-foot paved shoulders on either side. And on around we've got a little intersection of a minor county road back behind us. The center of that is 400 feet upstream of the beginning of the test section. We are in a right curve in transition to a tangent section, so we do have our surface water drainage going out. So working on around. See, we're in a largely undeveloped area here. There is some housing, but not much. See the fence denoting the right-of-way line. And looking on up on the test section, see what I mean with the right curve? We're going up at around 1 3/4% grade, if I remember correctly. We've got what's indicated on the plans as a slight fill, and I think that's correct for this case because it's about the same on either right-of-way line, or the elevation's about the same. Be around a 4-foot fill throughout the length of the test section. This was the most uniform section we could find within the limits of this project. We had to be concerned in selecting the section with sight distance because we only have one lane. I think we have something which is quite effective in this case, though. I'm right now down at the end of the test section looking downstream. What you may see up ahead right at near the crest of that vertical curve is where a skin patch begins and goes on down. I'm not sure how far. The test section ends about 350 feet before that begins, so we're in no difficulty as far as that's concerned. Besides, we're starting to get into a cut up there anyway, and we wanted this section to be in as uniform an area in terms of cut and fill as possible. We're working on around. Oakwood's back there just now leafing out. The reason I'm starting up here at this end and working back is primarily so I can point out something which would be otherwise invisible. And what it is, and you can probably see it here as I'm going, these are not cracks per se. It looks like the asphalt concrete is torn and there is asphalt cement filling those apparent voids between aggregate in there. And what I suspect is happening here is that we are seeing evidence of stripping in both wheel paths. This also is indicated in the opposite direction as well. It is isolated to the wheel paths typically, but it is not a crack per se. In other words, there is no opening in there that is not filled with asphalt cement. Letting the traffic through here, and so I'm going to have to stop until they move by. From this angle, the rutting appears to be quite severe also. In this area, it's around 3/4 inch. It's typically around 1/2 inch throughout the length of the test section. I'll go ahead and stop and use a carpenter rule to try to illustrate that. Illustrate with the carpenter rule wasn't going to work very well, so I gave up on it before I decided to try and film it. Moving on downstream, though, this pattern of, well, it's kind of hard to describe this stuff. It almost looks like the asphalt concrete is torn in here. Let's just call it this tearing pattern is present just constantly or uniformly throughout the length of the test section here in both wheel paths, as I've mentioned before. Getting out here into the center of the lane, and you see that it appears in just scattered places, but it is nothing like what it is. It almost looks like it's wrinkled right in here. as opposed to being cracked. And in no place did I notice it actually being cracked where there was space opened up between any pieces of the asphalt concrete. There was always some asphalt cement in there as if it had been sealed. Do not believe, or I'm almost sure that this section has not been fog sealed or had anything done in that sort of manner since it was open. It's relatively young. I'll stop and illustrate something else over here also. Excuse me, also. Around station 2+.